Hi there, I'm Vicki from Aussie Stampers. Welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to show you how to bind an art journal using watercolour paper. And I love how this project turned out. I ended up dividing it into two parts, but before we get into that I need to show you my writing exercises. So I'm trying this brush script. I think it's not too bad. I think the alphabet itself is not too bad, but when I tried to do an actual piece underneath it, I loved the word love. It was because I had bounced the letters rather than putting them all on one line. But then this next part kind of fell apart, so what happened, it sort of went upwards at one end, and then this wasn't lined underneath, so it needed to be moved slightly more that way so that it could all line up. But I was pretty happy with how I did the alphabet, and it's just the alignment was wrong, so next time, hey, maybe that'll be better. I hope so. But that's my writing exercise for today. Now back to the art journal. I'm using Stampin' Up's watercolour paper, and it comes in a pack like this. There are 5 sheets, and the watercolour paper measures 23 centimetres by 15.2 centimetres. So this is the size of paper I'm starting with. So this is what it looks like, and it's quite heavy paper, 5 sheets. So I'm going to use some of these elements here to decorate it, but I'm going to do that in a part 2 video because this video went a little bit too long, and I decided I'm going to do making the journal as part 1, decorating part 2. So I've got my trim and I've moved the cutting blade out of the way, and I have the light grey piece, which is actually a scoring piece. Now I'm going to cut it, or sorry, not cut it, I'm going to score it at 4.5 centimetres. It's actually 4.5 inches. It's 9 inches long. So at the 4.5 inch mark on this scorer, and just using my bone folder and doing that on all 5 sheets. So scoring, using my bone folder to get a really nice crisp edge. Now if you fold them together like this, I guess you could make a journal like this, but you can see the pages are all sticking out and it's a bit lumpy bumpy, and I just didn't want to do it this way. So I decided to form some registers. Now I'm by no means an expert on bookbinding, and anyone who is an expert may roll their eyes when they see this video, but this was how I kind of figured it out for myself. So I measured out 1.5 inches, I measured out 3 inches, and I measured out 4.5 inches and marked them with my pencil. Got a scoring mat, and I got a hole punch, and I call it my pokey tool, and made some holes. Now I'm using linen thread, and I'm sorry some of this goes off camera. I just had to bring it closer to me so that I could see where the holes were. So I do bring it back on camera, but you can see I'm putting the thread through from the back, through to the first hole, then the second hole, then bringing it from the other side to the hole on the end, bringing it through to this middle, and then sending the linen thread back on itself. So ultimately I'm just forming a line along the spine. You can see now I am sending it back through the other side, and then when you get to a spot where you can tie it off, just tie it in a knot and just trim it quite close to the edge. Now I've done 2 of those, and there's the 5th piece is going to be by itself because it's going to attach to the cover, and then I'm going to bring them all in and connect the whole lot to the cover. So the cover needs to be cut to size. So the cover size is 24.5 centimetres by 16 centimetres. What I did was I allowed a little bit larger top, bottom and sides, and then I added an extra piece on the end for what I wanted to use as the spine. So I'm going to cut this down to 24.5 centimetres by 16 centimetres. And that's just going to give me that extra amount so that when I fold it up you can't see the white sheets inside. Line it up so that it's got about 1/8 of an inch on all sides. Get your steel edge ruler, and this is going to form the spine, and then put it over to the other side. Grab your steel edge line it up and fold it up. And these steel edge rulers, by the way, are on special at Kmart this week, and they're only $1. So if you want to grab one, grab one. And now I'm bringing in my bone folder to create that spine. And you can see there's the spine I've created there. And that's going to help my album to breathe. Now the final sheet that didn't get connected to the others, I'm going to bring in and I'm going to attach that to the cover, poking the holes in at the same place. And then you can see what I plan on doing here is having a fold out front cover. I'm not going to connect that second piece because I want to be able to fold my album flat. So I'm just going to connect it at the back. This is the back of the cover. And I'm just connecting that piece that's by itself. And I'm just going to run through that, and this is a little bit more on camera, so you can probably see this a bit more easier. Having said that, I've just gone off camera again, sorry about that. But it's just, yeah, go through from one side to the other, pull it from the back so that it doesn't stay, it's not too loose. And then when you get to the spot where all of the pieces of thread have been connected up, then you can tie your knot. So it needs to go through one more time and then back on itself so that the beginning and the ending join up. And like I said, I'm just a beginner at this bookbinding, but I thought, you know, I'm going to give it a try. That's the best way to learn, is just try it. I was so thrilled with how this turned out. I have a little tassel here that I plan on putting on the end, so I'm leaving some long threads to attach that with. Now I'm getting my registers in so that I can line it all up beautifully, make sure it's nice and squared off, and then you can bring in a couple of bulldog clips. I'm using these cute little mini clips, aren't they adorable? And now for the tricky part. This is actually connecting all the pieces together and connecting them all to the cover. So it's a bit difficult to see, but I'll show you as best I can. So you're going to start off by pulling the thread through those pieces that you've already put together, and you're going to tie sort of like a hitching stitch to this. It's tying it in a knot at the beginning, which I've done here. So you start off with a nice firm knot and then you thread back through. And this can be tricky. If you had a curved needle, it might make it a little bit easier, but it just takes a little bit of patience, this part. So you're going to attach all the pages together by forming like a little knot in this section here. So you can see I'm bringing the thread back through on itself, and I'm coming back in to form a knot. And it will take a little bit of patience to get to this part. There we go. So there's that first knot that I've formed, and that's basically it. That's, if you've formed your knot, that's all you need to know for the next steps. You're just going to go and do that through for all the rest of the pages, and the final page connecting to the cover as well. So you're tying everything together really. So you can see how it takes a little bit of fidgeting around and being really patient. But once you've done that, you can keep threading your thread through. And here I brought it right through the back of the cover and pushing it back through again. And I'm getting a little bit caught up on those clips. That's going to happen. Just have patience with it. Just take it slowly. And then coming back through the next section. So you really want to get all of this connected. And it does make sense. When you start doing it, you'll see how you're knotting that piece of linen thread to the next piece to create your pages. Now, again, I'm just a beginner and parts of this are probably a bit messy. I did end up with something that I was pretty proud of in the end. But it just goes to show that if you try something new, then it's quite possible to get a nice result. I love this art journal and how it turned out. Now I'm poking everything through the back of the cover here so that I can tie off. and I've got 3 threads to tie off. Don't ask me why. I ended up with extra. I should have only had 2 there, but I ended up with 3. But look, you know what? I'm just freewheeling it here, and I'm figuring it out as I go, and it was a great mental exercise for me. So, a professional bookbinder I am not, but I have figured out enough to be able to make an art journal that I really love. Now I'm just going to cut that thread and then loop my tassel over the edge there and tie that off too. So tying lots of knots basically. And I love it. I just love how this turned out. I love that I was learning something new. I'm going to give you the link to a really good bookbinding video from Sea Lemon, and I'll put the link to that underneath. Now you can see I have my journal all done. How good is that? Loving it, absolutely loving it. It's nice and loose, which is what I wanted because I wanted the pages to sit flat. I'm so proud of it. My first attempt at bookbinding. And come back next time, I'll show you how to decorate the cover. Bye for now.